Most people lose more battles in their own mind than in the real world. You wake up, and before the day even begins, your thoughts are already against you. Doubts, fears, worries, regrets, one after another, like shadows you can't escape. But Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, faced wars, betrayal, and plague, and still found peace within himself. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." If he could kill negative thinking while carrying the weight of an empire, what excuse do we have today? Marcus Aurelius lived in a time of constant turmoil. He wasn't just a philosopher sitting in silence, far removed from the world. He was the emperor of Rome, carrying the weight of millions on his shoulders. Enemies at the borders, betrayals inside his court, sickness sweeping through the empire. Yet through all of this, his private writings in meditations reveal a man constantly wrestling with his own thoughts. Negative thinking wasn't foreign to him. He too felt anger, frustration, sadness, and fear. The difference is, he didn't let those thoughts control him. He treated them like passing visitors, not permanent residents in his mind. When he reminded himself that the mind is within his command, he created space between his emotions and his actions. This is where Stoicism shines. It teaches that you don't need to stop negative thoughts from appearing, but you do need to stop them from ruling over you. Marcus shows us that no matter your title, status, or struggles, your greatest empire will always be the one inside your own head. Negative thinking often disguises itself as truth. You might hear a voice in your mind whispering that you're not good enough, that you've already failed, that the future holds nothing but disappointment. Left unchecked, these thoughts can spiral into anxiety and paralysis. The Stoics understood this danger well. They taught that it's not events themselves that harm us, but the judgments we attach to them. A setback at work, a harsh word from a friend, or an unexpected change in plans, these things in themselves are neutral. It's our interpretation, our inner commentary, that gives them power over us. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it." The problem is not the thought itself, but whether we choose to give it authority. When we take our thoughts at face value, we become slaves to them. But when we step back and see them as impressions, temporary, not absolute, we regain our freedom. This is the first step in killing negative thinking, to recognize that thoughts are suggestions, not commands. Marcus Aurelius often described the mind as a citadel, a fortress no enemy could break into unless you opened the gates yourself. This image is powerful because it reminds us that the strongest walls are built within. Negative thoughts may attack, but they cannot cross the threshold without our consent. Imagine yourself standing guard at the entrance to this inner fortress. Each thought that approaches must be examined. Is it useful? Is it true? Is it aligned with reason? If not, it must be turned away. In practice, this means pausing before you let a thought sink in. When you think, "I will fail," you ask, "Is this certain, or is it just fear speaking?" When you think, "They don't respect me," you ask, "Is this fact or an assumption?" This discipline, repeated daily, strengthens the walls of your citadel. The more you practice, the less power negative thinking has. Over time, your mind becomes less like an open field where anything can invade, and more like a stronghold, calm and unmoved no matter what storm rages outside. Negative thinking thrives when we forget the difference between what we can control and what we cannot. This was the core lesson of Stoicism. Some things are up to us, and others are not. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of this truth. He could not stop the plague that swept Rome, but he could control his response. He could not prevent betrayal among his generals, but he could decide whether he would answer with wisdom or anger. The same applies to us. You cannot control what others say about you, but you can control whether you dwell on their words. You cannot stop every setback in life, but you can choose whether to meet it with despair or with determination. When you waste energy on things outside your control, your mind becomes heavy with worry and fear. But when you shift that energy inward, focusing only on your choices, your actions, and your character, negative thoughts begin to dissolve. The mind clears like clouds parting to reveal the steady sun. This distinction is the first blade with which you cut through negativity, asking each time, "Is this in my power or not?" Marcus Aurelius often warned himself that life is short and the present moment is fleeting. Negative thinking feeds on forgetting this truth. We replay old regrets, worrying about what cannot be undone, or we leap ahead into imagined disasters that may never arrive. But the present moment, the only place where life actually exists, slips away while we are trapped in these thoughts. Marcus wrote that we should confine ourselves to the task at hand, to the duty right before us. By doing this, he kept his mind from scattering into yesterday or tomorrow. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with memories of mistakes and fears of the future. Each step becomes harder, not because the path is steep, but because of the unnecessary weight you carry. Stoicism teaches us to drop that load. Negative thinking loses its grip when you anchor yourself in the now. You cannot change the past. You cannot control the future. But you can shape this moment, and in shaping it well, you prepare for whatever comes next. The mind finds peace, not by chasing what is gone or what is uncertain, but by standing firm in the present like a rooted tree in the storm. Another way Marcus dealt with negative thinking was by questioning the truth of his own impressions. He reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Negative thoughts often come disguised as facts. "I'm not good enough. This will surely fail. People don't respect me." These statements sound final, but they are really just judgments, opinions dressed as certainty. Stoicism trains us to pause and test these impressions. Is it true? Can I prove it? Does it serve me to believe it? Most of the time, the answer is no. The mind rushes to create stories, and negative thinking feeds on these untested stories. But Marcus refused to take them at face value. He would step back, observe the thought, and remind himself, this is only a perception, not reality. Think of it like standing on a dock watching boats pass by. You don't have to jump on every boat that drifts past. Some carry fear, some carry anger, some carry shame, but you can choose which to board and which to let pass. Negative thinking loses power when you see it clearly for what it is, not truth, not destiny, only a passing impression. Marcus Aurelius also practiced detachment by constantly remembering the brevity of life. He wrote that our days are numbered, and soon both ourselves and everyone we know will be gone. At first, that sounds bleak, but for him, it was liberating. Why give so much energy to negative thoughts when time is slipping away? If life is short, then every moment matters. And if every moment matters, filling it with worry, resentment, or self-criticism is a waste. He would remind himself that empires rise and fall, kings and beggars alike are swallowed by time, and yet the only thing that truly belongs to us is the present use of our minds. When you realize that, the grip of negative thinking weakens. Suddenly, the harsh comment someone made, the failure that haunts you, or the fear of tomorrow doesn't seem as heavy. because in the vast sweep of time, it's nothing. Stoicism doesn't ask us to ignore pain or deny difficulty, but to keep them in perspective. To see that we are small and life is short, but that is exactly what makes each thought and action valuable. When you live with this perspective, negative thinking no longer dominates. It shrinks into the background where it belongs. Another lesson from Marcus Aurelius is to question the usefulness of a thought. He believed the mind should be like a craftsman's tool, sharp, purposeful, and not wasted on what doesn't serve the work of life. Negative thinking, he would argue, is like using a blade to cut against itself. It dulls, damages, and achieves nothing. So when a thought comes, "I'm not good enough, I always fail," things will never improve. The Stoic response is to pause and ask, does this thought help me act with virtue, courage, or reason? If it does not, then it is unnecessary. And what is unnecessary should be cut away. Marcus urged himself to separate what is in his control from what is not. Our judgments, our choices, our actions, these belong to us. The opinions of others, the randomness of fortune, the passing storms of emotion, these do not. By focusing only on what belongs to us, the mind becomes clear, like water that has settled after being stirred. Try it the next time you feel trapped by negative thinking. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me, or is it stealing energy I could use for what really matters? In that moment, you will find you have more control than you thought. Marcus Aurelius also wrote about the fleeting nature of time. He reminded himself daily that life is short, and that every moment wasted in destructive thinking is a moment stolen from living fully. Think of how much of your life has already been consumed by worry, resentment, or fear. Did any of it truly change the outcome? The answer is almost always no. Negative thoughts promise control, but in reality, they rob us of presence. The emperor advised himself to live as if each day could be his last, not in a reckless way, but in a focused way. If you knew your time was limited, would you spend it arguing with yourself in your head? Or would you direct your energy toward courage, kindness, and strength? This reflection is not meant to scare you, but to free you. By seeing that negativity has no place in the short span we're given, you begin to treat your thoughts more carefully. You learn to let go of what drains you and hold on to what guides you. Life is too brief to be ruled by the shadows of your own mind. Another powerful way Marcus Aurelius dealt with negative thinking was by separating events from judgments. He wrote that things themselves are not good or bad. It is our opinion about them that creates suffering. Think about it. Rain is just rain. One person calls it a blessing for the crops, another curses it for ruining their plans. The event doesn't change, but the judgment does. Negative thoughts often begin with this mistake, assuming that what happens to us has meaning built in. Marcus reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The next time you feel weighed down by something, pause and ask, is this pain from the thing itself, or from the story I'm telling about it? By practicing this, you can strip away unnecessary judgments and return to clarity. What remains is not despair, but calm acceptance. This is not about denying hardship. It's about meeting it without letting your mind add extra chains. Marcus Aurelius also taught the importance of remembering how small and temporary our problems are when compared to the vastness of time and nature. He often reflected on how generations before him lived, struggled, and passed away, and how generations after would do the same. When you see your worries in this larger frame, they lose some of their weight. That harsh word from someone, that mistake you made yesterday, that fear of tomorrow, they shrink in scale when you remember the endless flow of the universe. Marcus wrote, "Consider how swiftly all things are swept along." This perspective doesn't erase pain, but it shows that most of what we suffer is brief, like a wave on the sea. Ask yourself, will this thought still matter in a year, in 10 years? Most of the time, the answer is no. By placing your negative thoughts in the grand theatre of time, you see that they are not mountains blocking your path, but passing clouds moving across the sky. This shift helps you let go, not with force, but with a quiet understanding of how small they truly are. Another lesson from Marcus Aurelius is the discipline of returning to the present moment. He knew how easy it is for the mind to wander into regrets of the past or fears of the future. Negative thinking often thrives in those places, replaying what has already happened or imagining disasters that may never come. But Marcus reminded himself again and again that the only thing truly in his control is the present action. He wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This simple line is powerful because it cuts off the endless stream of what-ifs that can drown us. When you anchor your mind in what is in front of you right now, your breath, the task at hand, the person beside you, negative thoughts lose their grip. They may still whisper in the background, but they cannot dominate you when you are fully here. The present moment is small, but it is solid, and it is all you truly need. By living it well, you take away the stage that negative thoughts use to perform, and each time you return to now, you strengthen the habit of clarity over chaos. Marcus Aurelius also taught that we should align our minds with nature, because nature itself is calm, balanced, and unhurried. He observed how rivers flow, how seasons change, how stars follow their paths without resistance. When you place your thoughts against this larger order, many of your worries shrink in size. Negative thinking often comes from believing the world is against you or that you are trapped in chaos. But when you remind yourself that you are part of something greater, you see that life moves according to its own rhythm. Your task is not to fight it, but to move with it. This perspective makes the mind lighter. You realize storms pass, winters turn to spring, and difficulties eventually end. Just as a tree bends with the wind and does not break, you too can bend without losing your strength. Aligning your mind with nature allows you to see problems as part of the flow, not as final judgments. From this place of harmony, negative thoughts lose their sharpness. They may rise, but they no longer control you because you stand firm in the greater order of things. To kill negative thinking, Marcus Aurelius often returned to the power of choice. He reminded himself that no matter what others say or do, his response is always his own. This is perhaps the deepest weapon against negativity. Life will bring insult, loss, failure, and even betrayal. But none of these have the power to enter your mind unless you open the door. You can pause before reacting, breathe, and decide whether this thought deserves space. Most of the time it does not. By choosing your response, you reclaim control. Imagine standing at the gates of your mind like a guard at the entrance of a city. Some thoughts come asking for entry: fear, anger, envy, despair. You have the authority to let them in or turn them away. This act of guarding and choosing is the essence of Stoic practice. It is not about denying emotions or pretending to be unshaken. It is about refusing to let destructive thoughts build a home in your heart. With daily practice, this choice becomes stronger and negativity becomes weaker, until finally the voice of reason grows louder than the noise of doubt. If this message spoke to you, subscribe now so you can keep building strength over your own mind with me.